Okay, so where do I live in Achieve 3000 when I'm doing this gamification? I live in one report, and here's how to get to the one report that you get everything from. So you go down to the three pancakes in the upper right-hand corner of your Achieve 3000. You're going to click on Student Reports and then select under Performance Reports how Lexile Reading Measure performance has changed over time. Now, once you click on that, it'll open up a screen. Don't change any of the dates or anything. Just scroll right at the bottom and generate that report. Because when you get that report up, it's going to be a spreadsheet like this in the very background, all the small text you can't read. And it shows you how many activities they did each month and what their growth Lexile is, expected Lexile. So you have all the data for everything that they've touched and achieved and completed. And at the bottom green bar, what you can see is on that line that is really tiny, you can't read, it starts out with the pre-test level. So in this example here, this kid started at 520. In November, did 8 activities and went up to 530. December did 2 activities, remained at 530. January did 4, went up to 565. And then in February did 23 activities, and look at the jump. Now, obviously, you can tell in this example when the gamification started for this particular class. So the interest was great. So 23 activities. Now, next to the activities, you see those parentheses where 23 activities and 21 is in parentheses? It means that 21 of those 23 activities were counted. So 2 of them were thrown out, whether he went too fast, he did something in the Achieve algorithm they weren't happy with, so they're not counting the scores on those particular items. Now, the great part about it is, and here's how I run my game. Here are some more points. The first try column, I look at this and I call these my data talks because the data speaks. This is hard data based on what they've done on Achieve 3000. So I look at this and I can see in his first try column that, he has all these scores, but the average is 60%. I want that average on mine to be 75%. So the goal is 75%. So if they meet the goal, then they get 25,000 bonus points, and they will qualify for that if they have done 8 activities and have an average of 75%. That's what I want. That's my expectation. I'm happy with that. I don't tell them I want more. However, some of the kids are on a streak and they're like in the 80s. So I said, you know what? If you're going to work hard like that and you get 90% average on your first try, you don't have to, but if you do, I'm giving you 50,000 bonus points. So it kind of, pushes it above 75. And so the reading that they're doing, if they really wanted to make that goal in, their gaming, they can do that and they can earn more points for their effort. Now, do I have to track these points? Never. These kids don't ask me where these points are. They know that they got those bonus points. It's kind of like, yeah, I got an award. That's the best part about gaming is that it doesn't matter. They know they have them and that's it. I don't have a spreadsheet with recording who got 25,000 or 50,000. I could always go back and look because it's in my monthly report because as you saw, I can click on each month. Now let me go back on this one here and explain a little bit more. Do you see in the blue box where it says on the first line, 6 activities and 21 activities? Well, you can click on that 21 and it will pull up all 21 activities that were done by the student or the 6. So you have all the data for each one. And the better part than that is that you can click in this report once you click on the students' reports. Do you see how the titles of the articles are highlighted in blue? Those are direct links to the questions the kids received. So you can go back and you can open them up and you can see what question the kid was asked, if they got it correct the first time, or if they didn't get it correct on the first try, but the second try, or they didn't get it correct at all. Those are your discussion points, and they're all over the objectives that you're dealing with and working with on a daily basis. It is direct information to have that question, to have a conversation with the kid, like, oh, well, did you know there's a better way to answer this question? Let me model to you how I would answer it. First, I would find the 2 worst answers because it's easy to find. It's not as easy to find the best answer. Sometimes it's easier to find the 2 worst answers. So I would show them that. And it really is an Achieve 3000 to take out, those distractors, and you can do that. So I modeled that. Or I'll look at this test and I'll say, you're at 60%. Now you're not at 75, so you're not qualifying for the bonus points, but I see you might be cracking the code because I see 25%, but 100%, 25%. I can also look at the timestamps on the test. So if they're going through too quickly, I can see that. There's also another difference. Like some kid had a lot of articles and they were doing well on them. I was like, there's a lot of 100%. If you look at these articles, there are two types of articles. There's multiple types, but the two big types are the article with just the activity questions. It comes with 4 questions. So they can read an article and they only answer 4 questions. But there's also the 5-step lessons. And I like them to focus on that because they get 8 questions. And I want them to practice their reading and practice their skills, not just on 4 questions, but on 8. So I let them know that when I found that out, I said, you guys, did you know that the 5-step lessons are worth double? So it helps them to make a choice for a 5-step lesson. You can read the ones with the articles with just the activities, but they're really not as valuable as the other ones. And I want you to focus on those. Also, I want them to do the first 4 tabs. The thought question in the beginning, I tell them it's important that you start this question, but here when you answer it, I want you to repeat the question and then put your because, and then tell me why if that's your opinion, if you agree or disagree. But here's the catch. You get extra bonus points behind the scenes they don't tell you about. They'll give you 250 points for that question alone answered, and the 4th tab, which they just have to answer, agree or disagree. But on that first tab, if they do not have a capital letter in their sentence and a period at the end, that it's disqualified and it won't count because, capitals, periods seem to be an issue more so these days with all that texting going on. So that was a rule that was thrown in there for that. And by concentrating on the 4 tabs, you have them doing all 4. The writing is the 5th tab, and I generally do that differently in my class. I like to teach writing a different way. So that is what I do as far as scoring on it and goal and conversations. But then I do what they call a data talk, or what I call a data talk. And I can look at this and I'll go over the percentages and look at what they got. And I say, you're going back and forth between 100% and 25%. And I can tell you one thing you're not doing in the level that you're in the 900 club, because each of the hundreds are club, 100 club, 200 club, 300 club, 400 club, all the way up. So they're at 920. They got 80 more levels to go to the 1,000 club. So in my conversation, I'll say, I don't think you've cracked the code yet because I see you're capable of getting 100%, but these 25%, why are you getting 25%? Let's go look at these questions. Yeah, that's a not question. You should never get a not question wrong because that's the level up question. That's the most important one. And they're trying to trick you. So if you're getting a not question wrong, don't, be careful because you got to find 3 of the correct choices out of the 4. It's not finding the correct answer. It's finding 3 answers that which of these are not answered by the article. And sometimes they change the word not to accept. But which of you got to find the 3 and highlight them. And I can tell by this you're not highlighting. So if you brought me your Achieve3000 right now, I know you're not highlighting because anytime they're going like this, and they're not. And I said, look, you need to highlight because a lot of times your brain will read something and you'll miss a word and it'll change the meaning. When you use highlighting, it will get your brain to focus in on those words and you won't be missing them. Now, yellow is the most popular color for highlighting and most brains work with yellow, but sometimes you have to change to another color to help your focusing with your brain. So if yellow's not working, try another color to see if that'll work better. So you're the game master. You can make all your rules up. So in looking at this data, I went over, I was like, I think you're rushing. I don't think you're highlighting. And then as I'm doing this data talk, I'm doing it in front of a small group or we go over it in the whole class. So let's read the data. And then the kids can learn how to read this data by looking at it as well. So I say, boys and girls, what does it look like here? Because the second average is 76%. That's a 16% gap. That's pretty large. So usually it's for rushing, not highlighting, doing some other things. So you can use the data to have these great, meaningful conversations. And you have student agency as well. And look, what happens after this conversation we had in December over the December data, the next data that I have here is for the same student in January. And in January, you can see that even though the timestamps are kind of close, that there's a different kind of an attitude and a buy-in here with the student. They're at 83% average. And that's huge. At a 950 Lexile. So they are reading at a 950 Lexile now and scoring 83%. He had 300% in a row. And this is what I tell him. I said, when you have 100%, you activate artificial intelligence in Achieve3000. And when you get that next quiz, you're going to get a trick, a trap, something's going to happen, and they're going to try to find the just right trap to get you into, keep you from getting another 100% because that's their mission. So when you get 2 in a row, you have a trap that's even harder. Now, it looks like you got a trap after your first 100%, and you got it, you nailed it. So maybe it wasn't one that was right for you. And then you nailed it again. So they're looking for that right trap, and they finally got you on that 75%. But you figured out a couple that you got wrong, and you got an 88% the second try. So after that, it went down 50%. So they're kind of figured you out now, and now you're going to be building your way up. But you're working really hard. You have an 83%. You are 7% away from a 50,000 point bonus. Now, I'm happy with 75, but if you get that to 90%, you're going to get that 50,000 because you almost have 8 articles to qualify for that bonus. And I mean, those are conversations that you can have. They love it. Now, to add a little bit more detail about the discussion, maybe I would have particularly with the student, when you're having discussions, you know the students, you know them, and you can mold your discussions based on who you're speaking to. In this particular case, I see that the kids had 100% on the 950 Lexile. I know they're capable. My first initial thought is that they probably were not paying as much attention as they were when they did the following 3. There was a long gap between the 8th and the 20th. So if they weren't out, the discussion could be like, where's your work? And most likely in this case, it was a quick discussion that just needs a little motivation and to know that you're connecting with them and seeing the data and sharing how close they are to getting the 90% to encourage them to get back on track and do what they're doing. Is their score horrible? No. So I may not decide to pick through the data to see why he got a 50%. It could have been just inattentive. He was goofing off or something. So it isn't that he couldn't do the question. It's just that he wasn't applying himself. So I would send him off on his own. And if he doesn't bring it back online to where he's doing his best effort, and you know that, then you can go back and pick the questions apart and click on the individual tests and look at what questions is there a pattern appearing as to which question he's missing? Do you need to model that question to them to show them how you would think it through? Or is it just the inattentiveness and he gets back on track after that conversation? So these conversations can be quick, they can be lengthy. If a child is capable and they're not doing their work, you can click on those tests and highlight those questions, put them into a Google Doc or a Google Slide, and have them go back and work them out again while you put their game on pause until they show you that they're ready to move on again. And then you can unpause the game and put them back in. But just a little bit more details. You're the game master and the data speaks for itself. So you can choose how to dissect the data based on the student you're speaking with and run the game. They love it. Now, here's somebody who was in a situation where they started and were going in the green bar. Their Lexile was a 520, and this is the one where they were 530, remain there all the way up to 680. This was the month they did 23 articles. So this is February's data. 23 articles, 84% average on the first try. And you can see that they were reading at the January average. The end of the month award went up to 680. So what kind of reading was that student doing with all those articles? Yeah, they did a lot of reading with Achieve3000, but the variety of what they can read is amazing. You can look at timestamps, but you can look at overall. I think that if you look at this a little closer, some of them may have been the 4-question ones, and may have been the month we had the tab about the 4-question ones. I don't recall if this is the student we did that or not with. But 680. So next month, if they invested this much time and effort into it, and they were scoring as well as they did, that 680 is going to jump even higher. So this is black and white. This is efforts being put into this program that are showing you that it's working for this student here. There's a class we're working on with this now, and we're going into week 6. And more than 2/3, I would have to say 80% of her class is averaging an 80% first try average. It's insane. But these kids are in it. You just have to really, keep the game exciting, keep, saying, hey, let's talk about your data. They have to know where they're at. Now, this is a 5th grade class, and one of the issues is time, because there's so much that's being taught. You have a lot of boxes you got to check off with guided reading and doing this. I sacrificed some of my guided reading time for this because this was so valuable, having these real conversations with these kids. And I would give some of that time for that. But what's really important is that they know what their first try average is. Because if their first try average is at 72%, and they don't see where it is for a week, and it drops down to 65%, if they knew it was at 72%, the effort would have been a lot different than it would have been if it dropped down to 65%. So it's important that they see this every day or every other day, because they don't get this teacher report. In the 5th grade class you're working on, we were going to pull up the students' reports here and have them be able to access their own data, and it would be on the during small group time, the board, and they can just click their board, see their average. And the great part about this is that they cheer each other on, because it's like them against the game. It's not like, yeah, I got more points than you. All the classes I'm doing in it, not one of them have done that. But when they see them advance to different levels, they're all applauding. So it's been really fantastic to encourage them together as a team. Now, when they are jumping from the 200 level, if they're in the 200 level, I tell them, you guys, if you're in the 200 level, don't worry. You jump faster than the 900 level, because on the 200 level, you can go up 150 or 200 points in one shot if you really work hard. On the 900 level, it's the hardest. It's a harder level. So you have to crawl up, and the increments of jumps are smaller. So you may only go up by 5, 10, or 20. It's okay if you go up by 20, but if you're down lower, don't worry about that. You can just jump up faster. And that's an important thing for them to know, that even though they're lower, they can jump more points, because, the kids are at 900. They want to jump 200 points. They can't. They're not going to jump that fast. So by creating this environment, you really can create a lot of energy and excitement. And these kids love reading. In my group, what would happen is I would start them out with the game, and then in September, then by February, they would be asking me, hey, can I read this article on this orangutan? It's in a wildlife sanctuary. I wanted to check into it. So it develops a love of reading. And after a while, they just are scoring confidently and solidly, and it's more for enjoyment of reading. I did make badges. So if anyone's interested in those badges, you can go to the Schoology group, and you can go to the resource section and just add to course the badges. The way it show up in your course. You just go to badges. Badges is already in your course. You can make these. You see the little add badges there? I just made these with Schoology. Now, when you click, you see where it says the 400 club, the 500 club. When you do the down arrow, I actually put messages in there. Fantastic job. On your next level, watch out for this kind of trap. So I generally say that on the 200, 300, and 400 club, maybe 500 club, you could probably answer questions without highlighting. However, if you don't practice highlighting, when you get to the 600 club, you're going to not do as well as you did. You'll probably be in the level longer, because you're not highlighting the proof to the answers to your questions. And that's important. So on the 700, 800 level, you're going to be there a little longer on that level. They're going to ask you more tricky questions probably. So watch out for tricks and traps. And I put little messages in there. You can have the messages be whatever you want if you wanted to change or alter them. And for your end of report, a month report, usually get a copy of it sent to you. But if you need to open it up to say, okay, here's where they were, here's where they are now, to know their current Lexile, you can just go to the 4th section under assessment tools and which of my students' lifestyles have been adjusted. Now, in gaming, you can level up, but you can also level down. These students that will show up on this report are students that will either level up or level down, because they can level down. And that's something I tell them is like, if you keep taking these 25%, you're going to level down. If a student didn't change and is flatlined and remained at the same level, they're not going to appear on that report. So if their name's not there, they're just on the same level. The ding. That's very important that the kids that are at the bottom level get to feel that success of gaming. If they feel that success, it will bring them into that mindset that they need to, or what they need to do to get there. So another powerful tool I use, which has really been struggling to have happen in COVID with the classes that are in person and not, the digital ones, is collaboration. Huge. Achieve3000 is not going to show up in a report card, and you're not using the data for anything. So the RI does that. So Achieve3000, if they collaborate and answer questions on the same article together, and their Lexile adjusts, it's not going to adjust off of collaboration, and they're not going to collaborate all the time. But make sure to incorporate times where you have team articles, where the kids can get together in breakout rooms and they can discuss how they're getting their answers. The kids can teach each other how to highlight, how to find their answer, and will repeat what you said as guides and collaborate with each other. And it's just usually powerful, because a lot of times a kid can say it and the other kid will listen better than they'll listen to us. It's kind of like, how they listen to their parents sometimes. So those are elements of how I game with Achieve3000. I find it a powerful tool. I mean, it's black and white, and the times that I've done this and I've really explored it, it actually created a lot of advanced placements on the SOL testings scores that I had coming back. Over half the class scored advanced placement. It was pretty amazing. I had jumped from 2nd grade to 4th grade, and guided reading was a whole different ball of wax. And every time I was sitting there in my guided reading lessons going over my objectives, these kids were hitting me with these questions, which was over the objective I was covering. And if I let them go and just say, figure it out, or have somebody help you, there was an increased likelihood that they're just going to guess at an answer to get beyond it and go to the next one. And I didn't want that. And, if I could say, oh, so-and-so just struggled on that same question, go ask them. Then they can be successful at that. Another part of it is that if they're not really having a meaningful reading experience, practicing their skills, if they're not understanding how to answer questions like that. And that's why I decided to allow me to give up some of my guided reading time to help guide them through those moments, because heck, it was exactly what I was teaching anyway. And it was just right for them. It was exactly on their Lexile. We were having real, authentic conversations, meaningful, on time. It wasn't me building a bridge of the information to put in their heads. They had already started building the bridge. They were almost all the way to the other side, but they couldn't get there, and they needed me to come in to help them finish building the bridge. And by doing that, they saved me all the work in building the scaffolding to transfer that knowledge. Plus, they were having fun. I was having fun and enjoying it. And I know there's a lot of people out there that struggle with Achieve and enjoying it because of the fact that it is a program that needs some support. And when you have to do the support like that, you got to find the time somewhere. So for me, I found value in devoting some of that guided reading time towards that. And we're coming up with other times during the day when I integrated the content information so that I can cover the content with Achieve3000, because there's great stuff in there that will connect with the content. So good luck. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to have you have a successful Achieve run. And don't forget, I have badges in there for you. I'll show you one last thing on my porting words here is on your students' data, when they click the shield, do they get this? If they click on the graph and they go to the graph here, they can click on any circle here and it'll show the tests and their first try percent. So if you're on the fly looking over their shoulder, you can do that. The orange Lexile level right there only changes once a month. That 610 is the current month. It won't go up or down until the following end of month report. Now there's also another thing. There's a switch here for Lexile milestones you might be interested in. If they flip that switch, you're going to see the grade level expectation. That dotted blue area in the middle is where the grade level expectation is for the kid to fall. So in this little kid, he's a little bit behind the end of year grade level expectation, but he's closer. And it also will show you on this dashboard, do you see how it says video game designer? It doesn't normally say that. That was a selected one. To select what career you would like to put there, and our guidance teacher is involved in, or our guidance counselor is involved in job careers, and I've shown her this, so she's going to connect this to her lesson. But you just click on that area right there and it brings up the whole list. So for information technology, you can see video game designer is right there, and it tells them information when they click on video game designer, like what kind of Lexile level do you need to get to, and it'll give them their goal. They can change this as often as they want. They can be whoever they want and say whatever they want here. So good luck and enjoy the gamification of Achieve 3000.